next step, we're going to take the X panel, which expands only in one direction. We've got the small sliding panel, which goes on the same side of the doorway as this one. Again, this is interchangeable. You can do it either way. In this case, we're going to do it this way. So first of all, just set it on top of the blower panel. Pull it out in the doorway, not with very much slack, just kind of snugged up. And then take this strap without any tension at all and drop it into the cleat so it's going to hold it into position. So we now have the size of the doorway, or the width of the doorway set. And we can bring this up into the top of the door, pulling it into the door stop and pushing up with this hand. Then reach over with this strap here, with this finger, pull across like that, drop it into the cleat, and check it for tension. Now all this panel is doing is stopping the air from flowing through the door. There's not a lot of pressure on here, as there is in the lower blower panel, because this has a blower in it. All it's doing is stopping the air from coming through the hole. So we just put the Velcro back on there and get that out of the way. The next panel we're going to deal with is the XY panel, which interestingly enough expands in what we call the X direction and also in the Y direction. This panel mounts on top of the blower panel. We'll just slide that across to get the X direction set up, and then push or pull down, in this case, on this strap. Now you notice there's a bit of squeaking going on there, and what's happening is as this is sliding up, it's actually jamming in the doorway, so we don't want to put any sideways force on this XY panel before we pull it up into position. So now that I've got it in the proper position up and down, I can pull down on that strap. You can see it driving up a little bit. The Velcro out of the way. Tighten up on this one. Again, let the cleat take the load. Tighten up on this one. Let the cleat take the load. Check it to make sure we've got a good seal everywhere, as it seems like we have, and we now have the doorway sealed off. We should be able to install this in about 1.5 minutes when we get good at it. The one last step to complete sealing off the doorway is to seal off this little hole that might form here. Now in this particular case, we actually have a very small hole through here. You see my finger just poking out on the other side of it. Very tiny little hole here. So almost not necessary to seal it off, but we'll try and seal it off anyway. There are two sealing sheets that we have. This small one and a larger one, which I'll show you in a minute. The small one has got Velcro hooks, I guess, on the side, and we've got Velcro loops all over here. Now, if we lay this thing down in these loops, it gets stuck and it can't move. So what we have to do is to keep it just free of the panel, like I got an inch away from the panel there, and I'm going to position it and kind of float it into position. I've got two little handles here that I can operate it with. So I'm going to hold it close to the doorway, about an inch away from the panel, and I'm going to position it right in the slot here. It's designed to go in the slot between these two pieces here and here, right in this slot here. That's the first part we have to get. Now obviously if we put it in here first, then we might have a problem with hitting the doorway. In this case we might just barely miss it, but in a lot of cases we'll have a problem with it hitting the doorway. So in that case, we hold it about an inch away from the panel and maneuver it so it's right in there, and then slide it down, push that down, and push this part down. We now have a good seal. I'll just show you the other small strip sealing panel, and it's an intricate arrangement where we've got this same strip here, and if we don't need these extra panels, we can just flip them out of the way one way or another, like that. You can flip them out of the way. We may have to use the same kind of technique of getting it in behind the door and then backing it into the slot. And as the doorway gets bigger, we'll expand it out to this position and then to the final position, which takes us out to a full 48.5, 49 inches.